Wavehealernation, what's up? Welcome back to another episode. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful. I'm so excited because today we have a very special guest, Mother Superion from Warrior Nun. Sylvia de Fanti is in the house. Sylvia, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Hello to everyone.
I'm just so excited. We're gonna jump right in. We're gonna keep it short. I know we don't have you for long. Sylvia, you are part of a huge project, Warrior Nun. It got amazing ratings. Just finished season two. There was an announcement that we're not going to see a season three, but the community has spoken, and we're not excited about that. You are part of a great community of very powerful women. And not only are you a part of it, you are leading this group of powerful women in the show, and I would say probably in real life too. So tell us a little bit about how has it been as an actor at this point in your journey, just to be a part of something like that.
Well, I think it was kind of destiny because being a feminist and always being part of that community, and also trying to be active in Rome, not only in Italy, for the LGBTQ+A community. It's always been my wish. You always wish to find something, a job that requires your skills
Mm-hmm.
to be active. So yeah, first time when I met Mother Superior at the very beginning, I saw her potential,
Mm-hmm.
but she was obviously very much under her mask of austerity. Um, so, but I built for her in my imagination, of course, and luckily that was shared
Mm-hmm.
with with the writer's wishes. But obviously, she became more and more connected with the sisters, with her girls, and so she understood more and more the importance of the sisterhood, and
Mm-hmm.
so what it meant to be loyal to that and not to the men of the hierarchy of the
Mm-hmm.
church.
Mm-hmm.
So and yeah, and the skills of being a fighter, also physically. Uh, well, I'm not that, unfortunately, in life. Not that good. I wish. But I think, yeah, that's the exponential part of me.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
I would like to be.
You are a true Renaissance woman. From what I understand, you've moved around a lot. You've lived in a lot of different places. You speak multiple languages. Um, how did you bring Sylvia? How did you bring yourself to Mother Superior? And let's say maybe in the way of like psychology or like her intentions and her behaviors.
Well, I think Mother Superior. Every everyone has a an ancient wound, a trauma,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I mean there are many, but one is specifically what builds more um, the personality. The personality builds itself around it, basically, and I think um, that her wound was about recognition. I think the basis is always the need of love, and so I think that discovering that and discovering what about your need is connected with the character's need is always a bridge. It's always a very important bridge. Sometimes, if you're lucky, like with me and Mother Superior, this bridge is quite immediate because of the yeah, the mentorship. She's older, I think, anagraphically. I mean, it's never been told, but I think she's slightly older than me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she carries her weight and her experience and her life weight, let's say that, in a way that sometimes I do too. So and the need of being recognized, and the need of showing a very strong mask and hiding vulnerability. I think that's also something that we have in common. I think all humans have in common that. but I mean, not everyone talks about it. But yeah, I think that's been the gift, to have all those layers to show and to explore, and to go through. But mainly that, the wound, the need, how does that transform itself? How do you cover that wound in order to survive? And how then you get unmasked in some situations because because it happens, and that's growth. That's where growth happens.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. And kind of while we're on that same tune, as far as likes and differences, how are you, Sylvia, different from Mother Superion? How are you alike? And maybe, like you said, kind of in the way that you think, the way that you behave, and kind of obviously, like you said, you're not fighting people every day, but I'm sure that maybe it's a little bit different. So yeah, how would you say you guys are alike and different?
Well, I'm slightly more accommodating.
Slightly.
Slightly. Well, I am more vain. That's the first difference. Yeah, I'm much more vain. I would never wear a habit all my life, because of vanity. So I think that's a major difference. Yeah. Yeah, I care about my aesthetics much more than Mother Superior does, because of the scar, which I think she did, and then it was like, yeah, I have to wear this in my life every day, so that makes a difference, I guess. The scars. So I think she worked on vanity much more than I did. And I'm funnier, I think, hopefully. But I think she's funny too. I just think she's I think she's funny in her private life, more than she is in public. I'm funnier. Yeah, I'm a little bit. I'm easier. Let's say I'm easier, but not that much. I mean, yeah, we have a lot in common. It's more the aesthetics that change,
Gotcha.
more than the rest.
Yeah, I won't test it, but thank you for sharing. Sylvia, you've had a really great acting career so far. From what I understand, you've been performing, entertaining, acting since you were very young. That's brought you all the way to this project. Do you have, I know this is a tough question, but do you have any kind of standout moments for you that were kind of like aha moments, or you knew that this was the moment you were walking in your purpose, or this is the life that chose you? Any moments that kind of stand out for you?
In general, or
in general?
for Warrior?
Yeah, just in your acting career so far.
First time on stage was my when I stepped out. Actually, when I stepped out the stage, and I heard the people applauding, and they wouldn't stop, and it was just for a poem. Like I just went out with a poem in French because I was in Paris. That was the first time I was 20 years old, and I stepped out, and then the professor told me, "Ça allait bien." Oh, that went well. And I was like, "Yeah," and I was like shocked. I was like, "Okay, I'm never going to come back from this. Like, this is just a pivotal moment." And then I went back to Rome and I started studying, and so many. I'm lucky I had so many moments. First time my parents saw me, that was after a while. They weren't immediately supportive. I mean, they're lovely. They're not like. I think sometimes it's about tools and understanding. I think the artistic life is not for everyone to do or to understand, and so I think that's just sometimes it just transforms in fear. But in that moment, they just went out. I was 25 at that point. That was my real first professional work, contract, everything. Important one, and I was singing opera lirica at the beginning of this play. It was a play, but I was singing opera lirica, and and I opened my eyes, and I was singing with my eyes closed. I opened my eyes, and they were there, and I didn't expect that, and that was yeah, big moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I mean, there are many moments that I can recall as important moments that at the beginning convinced me to continue, because I was always doubting myself and thinking, is this the right path? Or I was just afraid. I always knew it was the right path, but I was afraid. And then I just understood that that I could live also with my other talents. Yeah. Because sometimes you're like, okay, I don't only have that, and then you're like, okay, I can put that talent in this, and that works better. Yeah. So yeah, and then the fight. I mean, one of the best moments of my last 2 years was when I did the fight. The Cardinals fight for me was a great moment. I just had so much fun.
I'm glad you. Thank you so much for sharing all that. I can imagine, being at a young age and telling your parents that. And then I believe that's good to hear, because I feel like every actor goes through that of, am I enough? Is this the right path? So again, thank you for sharing. And yes, I didn't want to bring it up because I'm sure you probably get tired of talking about it. But yes, this Cardinal scene, you take out that cane that Mother Superion has. It's powerful, to say the least. So with that, in the moment, in kind of going on that same line, how has acting been healing for you? How has it been therapeutic for you? I know for me, it's like the best personal development I could ever find. But I mean, again, as this role, you're a very powerful being in general, and you bring a lot of that to the role. So yeah, how has all this been healing, therapeutic, cathartic for you and the people around you?
In all ways. In all ways. I'm glad you asked this question, because sometimes there's this prejudice about how acting can be therapeutic, and it's not a substitution of therapy, obviously. And I'm the last person that could say that, because I really believe that it's different in ways. But it has to do with yourself, and it has to do with your going deeper and understanding yourself more and more, and not being afraid and fighting your censor, the censor that always says it, or the figure inside of you that judges what you do. And it's the dimension of discovery and the dimension of freedom that you give yourself, not just playing someone else, but being yourself in developing someone else's characteristics. So I think that in this transition, you really become powerful. You really become powerful, and it's difficult. It's conflictual, as every transition. If you want to do it that way, I mean, again, not for vanity reasons, right? If you really want to do it in the way, because your wish, your mission is to know more about humanity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it has to be. It must be, and it is healing when you do it that way. When the ego is not too much involved, it has to be involved somehow to a little bit be in control. But when you can, put that aside and really dive into something unknown and give yourself that chance, and it's, again, you're an instrument, you have tools to do that. So when you do that properly, and you get that risk, I think it's you really touch something important, which is healing, because you understand that you share that with other people, with other persons.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you, yeah, for sharing so much. Go ahead.
no. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you touched on that too. I was just at a convention recently, and I think the thing that brings all this together is, yes, it kind of gives you a space to put all your focus and all your creative energy to, and because you're doing that, like you said, you have these moments where it's risky, and that risk pays off, and then you create this emotional connection which therefore creates such a strong community such as Warrior Nun has. And it's so beautiful, when all that comes together. And it can be so rewarding. I know, especially for you, and being a part of this. And thank you so much for sharing with everybody. With that, kind of the same line, as we start to wind down and wrap up here. Uh, like I said, you do a lot of different things, Sylvia. When you're not acting, when you're not working on a project, because I know that you work very hard, and I know it's intense when you're on set. What do you like to do outside of when you're not acting? I know you like to sing. I know you like to paint, and I know you have a couple creative, I believe it's theaters and studio spaces out in Rome that you founded.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
We've
yeah.
it's never outside. It's always inside, but
Uh-huh.
it's we as a collective, me and my closest friends,
Mm-hmm.
my family friends, my family as I call it.
Mm-hmm.
We created this. It was an occupation, and then it it developed. But we were evicted 3 times. It's a struggle place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very peculiar story, but it's a long story, so I won't tell it now. Maybe one day. But it became a very important cultural center in Rome, and it's a venue. It's a theater space, a concert space, a artistic residency space. We produce plays. We self-produce our plays. We produce other plays, and we also have a company that is called Promotion. And we self-produce, and we are also co-producing with the most important theaters in Italy right now. So we are, we started very extra institutional, and now we are kind of mixing things, which is very interesting, because we get to push also some boundaries in what is normally the rule. So we get to rehearse more because we have our space, and so we ask for that, and so it's really interesting also from that point of view, from from an activist point of view, because that is activism too, from about our rights as workers of art and entertainment, and then so my company and my place, they're always, even when I'm working on set, I'm always working on these things, so it's my permanent life. Then I have a child, so that's a big part too, as you can imagine. And so, yeah, in a way, even if I'm, taking care of this space, like who's working there, who's going to take care of the company coming in, who's cleaning, like that's taking care, and that's part of my work too. And that's how I think I learned how to be in service of something, of a project that is bigger than you and not just you.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. I think that's so important. Like you said, just being a part of something bigger than you, and to your point, it keeps you humble and it keeps you hungry and inspired, to be able to bring yourself to these roles. Yeah. Um, Sylvia, I'm just so grateful to have had you this morning. I know that ultimately it's not in any one person's hands, but is there any way that people can continue to support you, and maybe hopefully we'll see you in a season 3 of The Warrior Nun, and maybe, I don't know, get your own spinoff show? Like, who knows?
That was, I remember one of the stunts said that in season 1. They're like, oh, we want a Superion spin-off. Yeah, I don't know. Those are things that are beyond my reach. Really. Yeah, I mean, hopefully soon. I'm not. I can't really say much more, but yeah, I'm always working on projects. So
wonderful. Well, Sylvia, I ask this to all my guests, and this is for the listeners of the Wavehealernation out there. What thought, wish, hope, prayer, idea, any last words you would like to leave the community with out there?
Well, yeah, be kind and listen. listen to each other. I think in this I don't know, globally speaking, in this moment, I think that starting from yourself, because you can't really do anything different. We should really start from our closest communities and just really take care and listen.
Yeah.
That because we're just when we are where we are, we're just lucky. When we are born where we are, and we're just lucky. And I think we have to never ever take that for granted.
Yes. Very simple, very powerful. Sylvia, thank you so much for being here with us. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Justin.
Yes, Wavehealernation, Tsunami Healing. We are out of here. Make sure you go check her out. Go support her. Until the next episode.